The opinions expressed in this episode are solely those of the individual podcasters and do not represent the views of the Remedial Film Class podcast, most especially the opinions of Travis.
It's the Remedial Film Class podcast. Travis and George and Dan. They're the Remedial Film Class podcast. Take your seat. It's time to begin.
Welcome back to the Remedial Film Class podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
And I'm Travis.
And I'm Peter.
I don't
Okay.
I don't know that you're Peter. I had you pegged very hard
You might be Flyboy.
as a Roger. I'm not gonna put you to flyboy status,
No?
but you're a Roger if you're a person.
Wow.
Well then, I'm Roger.
I'm the leader of the...
Woo!
Hey, George, you're gonna need to get your head screwed on.
Yeah, because it's not just my life we're playing with here.
We've got to discuss Dawn of the Dead from 1978, not the 2004 remake.
Is this the movie, like the next George
This is
Romero
like a
that came
sequel
out?
to Night of the Living Dead. It's 10 years later.
He did other stuff in between.
But not like zombie stuff.
Not zombie stuff not canon zombie stuff. But like Arrow recently did a release of his movies that took place between Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead, and it was called Between Night and Dawn. So, he did some stuff, but really he did night and then he did stuff and then he did dawn.
Okay.
So, we're in the midst of our second break since we started the show. We had a fall break where we sent you to Crystal Lake over and over and over, and then we sent you to hell and space, and it was like,
Space. Yep.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we violated the Geneva Convention at one point.
And New York. Went to New York.
I mean,
too.
briefly.
New
There was a
York.
lot of Vancouver.
Right.
Which was hell, wasn't it?
Yeah, same thing.
Same thing.
So we went back to the normal academia, and then we thought you needed a break because we'd been working you too hard, making you watch good movies. And so we're now on our spring break, which is a spring outbreak, as we kind of pave the road between Night of the
I
Living
like
Dead
it.
and your favorite, The Walking Dead. And so, in our second edition of The Outbreak, we are watching Dawn of the Dead, the second Romero zombie movie, and to many people's opinion, the pinnacle of the zombie genre. At least up until Walking Dead integrated the soap opera formula.
I was gonna say, I don't know if it's my Walking Dead is my favorite, but it's what I've had the most exposure to in the zombie world.
Well, to be fair, it's your frame of reference. So,
And I think it's a good frame of
Yes.
reference.
Yes.
Not saying it's like garbage. I have watched 9 seasons of it. It can't be garbage. But
no. I mean, like your frame of reference will be Shaun of the Dead and Walking Dead. Now, Shaun of the Dead is a homage to Romero films. And you see a lot of Shaun in these movies, but Shaun did it better in a way.
Whoa!
In my opinion, like their love of Romero definitely shows.
yes, definitely.
So
Standing on the shoulders of greats.
right,
For sure.
and Walking Dead. Like when you watch this movie, you can see a lot of Walking Dead influence from it. Like they picked a lot of the
You mean like you see a lot of this in influencing Walking Dead?
obviously
obviously.
they've referenced a lot of the Romero trope in their show,
Yes,
but they've done
yes.
it on a more serious level.
Sure.
Yes, but it's still there because Nicotera is a huge fan of Romero, obviously.
Yes.
Now, George, we had some trouble last time convincing you that Night of the Living Dead was worth maybe a second watch.
Yes.
Have you reconsidered your opinions? Have you come to see the light, my friend?
Like, have I watched it a second time? No.
Yeah. Did you show your wife, your kid, your neighbors?
No.
Hang your
Just- you
TV
just
out
had
the
a watch
window so the
party.
neighbors can watch?
No.
It's public domain. You can actually probably do that.
Yes.
Oh, that's true.
We can play that. So we can stream that.
Yeah, we can stream it.
Ah.
Ah.
Interesting. How do you do that though
Yeah.
with the because I mean individual companies put a lot of work into their version of the print. Do you have to get like a raw
Right.
print
I don't know.
to make it
All I
fully
know is-
public domain?
I tried to direct the stage play version of Night of the Living Dead, and I had to jump through hoops and rights because of somebody owns the stage play rights. So you have to pay for that. But the movie, I think, is fair game.
Can you make a different interpretation of the movie based on the shooting script?
Probably.
Interesting.
Whatever the company is that you have to rent the rights to do a stage play, they own it. Because I've sat down, I have a whole book of set designs and everything, but then I was like, man, it's going to cost me. Because it's a good story. The original is a good story for a stage play because it all happens inside the house.
Yeah.
This, not so much. This would be tough to do.
This would be a
Yeah,
difficult
not at all.
stage production. I would really like to see like the gun shop wheeled out as like mobile sets, you know, by a bunch of people all in black.
On dollies.
It would have to be a musical though to distract from all the rolling.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure it can be done. It looks like it.
I did spend the majority of the last couple days trying to convince George that this actually had musical numbers and choreography. I'm really hoping he bought it hook, line, and zombie sinker.
Were you expecting some kind of number?
No, not really. No, because when you guys talk about these movies, you don't include me usually.
No.
And
that was
so
completely by
the-
mistake.
The ridiculousness that was going back and forth between you two about this movie, I was like,
Right.
there's no way this is true. But yeah.
There is a dancing number at the beginning of Shaun of the Dead, though. And then at the end.
Is there really? Did I forget about
I
that?
started watching it with my sister the other day, and I forgot. She's like, what are they doing? Like, the opening credits, all the people before they're dead, they're doing that walk.
Yeah.
And they're all kind of like the
Yes.
zombie walk.
I always
and
thought it was just part of the theme song.
they're kind of
like, it's
dancing.
just-
And then you get the Queen stuff at the end where they're completely dancing.
Right.
But it fits.
sure does.
fits.
Yeah.
It's all about the attitude of the filmmaker. You can make it fit. You can also try and fail miserably. Luckily, George Romero did not try to add musical numbers, choreography, or hardcore inserts into Dawn of the Dead. I don't think any of those would have helped the movie. So it's 1978. We've got blood. We've got color. We've got headshots and headshots and headshots.
Well, you need them.
Well, you know those video games.
Kababloom.
But we weren't that violent, and we had that shit going on.
Yeah.
It's about as violent as video games.
Well, you
today.
were like 2
definitely.
years out of Vietnam, so
right.
I mean, turns out violence permeated the culture long before Sub-Zero ripped a spine out of Mofo.
That's true.
Word.
So it turns out. So George,
Yes, sir.
this is your first dance with Dawn of the Dead. Do
Mhm.
you have some initial impressions? Maybe not a full notes explosion, but you know,
I don't.
some initial.
I don't have a full notes explosion.
Hit me with like an
Um,
initial impression, like a pre-notes kind of situation.
In the beginning, I thought they're doing a really good job of portraying chaos. Just chaos the entire time. I got to the point where I think I might have been like 16 minutes in, and I was like, is this like going to be 2 hours of chaos?
That would be.
So they had just enough.
Yeah.
Mm.
It would be
the
exhausting
beginning.
if they did another minute of that, but
Yes,
Yeah.
it was chaotic. And then as I see the plot develop, these four characters, I'm like, okay, yeah, they're all getting in the twirly bird, and this is what the movie's going to center around. I like this. Yeah, they make their way, and I thought immediately this is more what I expect from a zombie movie.
Mm.
Right? And I was interested, like, at the end, I thought, like, this movie, like, wasn't perfect. You know, it had some strengths and some weaknesses or whatever, but like I can see how the genre is like progressing
right?
in a positive way, like in a way that's like making me real excited. Yeah.
Phew. All right. I guess we can actually publish this episode then.
Not quite.
I'm not worried about convincing you, Travis. I'm only worried about
I know.
George.
I know.
He's the star of the show.
I have stuff.
Is there
to
lots of
unload
stuff you
on.
don't like?
I have stuff to unload, but we'll allow it to breathe within the podcast.
Now,
gonna
earlier,
unload.
before we hit the big red button there, George, you mentioned that you'd noticed Dario Argento's name in the credits. And I said, shh, we're going to talk about that. Well, now's the time
Yes.
we're going to talk about that. So, you noticed Dario Argento's name in the credits. Did you notice where he appears?
No,
Did you notice any other Argentos popping up in the credits?
I did.
Do you have any idea why
was-
those guys would be all up in your American movies?
Probably because they were like just copying off of something Italian.
No.
I mean, or maybe they got banished by Italy and like they had to come here for like.
I believe it was a collaboration.
Oh.
It was like a
Not sure.
co-financing deal.
Yeah.
If you notice, there was a lot more money around, even though really it's still, George Romero rocking out the Pittsburgh crowd. Like, he hasn't moved to Hollywood and
Mhm.
sold out, but he does have a lot more
Mhm.
money to play with. And a lot of that has to do with him securing Italian co-financing. Now, as part of that deal, Dario Argento got final cut for the European market. So what that means
Okay.
is there is a completely different, although a lot the same, but still substantially different version of this movie that played all over Italy and the rest of mainland Europe called Zombie.
Okay.
So there you go. It's darker. It doesn't have all the fun, like, catalog music stuff from the mall, the
Mm-hmm.
totally inappropriate for the scene that's happening music from this movie.
I thought that was entertaining, actually.
Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah.
And so good. Like, it's not just comedic, but it's like it's saying something. But in Europe, they were like, that's stupid. Let's just make it scary all the time.
Gotcha.
Did you notice in the final credits who was credited with some of the music, at least in this print? It was a band
No, I
called
don't-
The Goblins with Dario Argento. So they didn't even get the name of the band right in the American credits. But yeah, Goblin did a lot of the music. They real dun 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 do 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 do. That kind of music is all
Okay.
Goblin, and then with some input from Dario Argento.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a third cut of this
Cool.
movie that's longer, significantly, than the one you watched today. Imagine that, and it's all
It's like 2.5.
it's a lot, and it's mostly dialogue, and it's like stuff that really needed like a take two, and they just never got it, so they just cut it right out.
Okay.
But it means that you missed some of my favorite lines from Dawn of the Dead. And I'm so sorry that you'll never know that they'd be stuck.
We'd be stuck! We'd be stuck!
And I'm also very sorry that you'll never know how many brothers Peter lost down there.
Are any of you leaving people behind?
You, Peter?
Some brothers.
Those real brothers? Real brothers or street brothers?
Both.
The real ones.
Two.
So I'm sorry. You're just never going to know.
Okay.
It's very sad.
I do not own the 3-hour version.
It's
I
good.
mean, you could just tell me.
No. It's a better movie without the dialogue bits, but it is charming in a way much like an independent film should be with the extra stuff in it. It's slower, it's less well-paced. It really didn't ever need to be in the cut to begin with, but I've heard he was rushed to try to get the film to Cannes to sell it, so he just threw one together, showed it at Cannes, and then went back later and cut out more stuff. And then what we watched today was the theatrical cut that had you been able to find a theater in the 70s that was playing an unrated movie, you could have seen this movie.
Cool.
So it is unrated.
It is unrated. George, what does that mean?
Unrated means that the MPC and MPAA
The MPYMCA?
had no, no input. Didn't have to be submitted to them.
They didn't
for
get parental
cutting out
guidance.
all the entrails and all the blood and guts and gore.
Some would tell you that this was the first movie in danger of being X-rated for violence. Now, that's not true. There have
No,
been a
it's
lot
not
of
that
movies
bad.
threatened with that. But it would have been X-rated if they had released it. It would not have passed with an R. So they released it unrated, which nowadays is box office just
Gold.
suicide because AMC and these other huge companies, they won't show an unrated movie in like corporate theaters. And they haven't forever.
Yeah.
But back in the 70s, late 70s, you could get away with places like 42nd Street in New York showing all kinds of weird foreign films, art house stuff, and an unrated zombie movie called Dawn of the Dead.
That's awesome. See, that's why I like the internet, because, like, you know, nothing is rated. That's how life should be.
Word.
I mean, content guides are good.
Yeah, sure. But, like, you know, have you ever listened to, like, you know, this edited, censored version of, like, a System of a Down album? It's like, well, like, what's the point? Like,
My mom bought me a copy of a Limp Bizkit CD at Sam's Club, which I was already kind of on the fence about because, ugh. But yeah, back then, I don't know if they still do this, but Walmart and Sam's Club sold edited versions
yeah, it's like, what's the
of
point?
CDs, and so it was break stuff, but without all the F words.
Yeah.
And it was like a bad song made worse.
It's like, could you imagine, like, a Rage Against the Machine album censored?
It would be like
It'd be
watching
really-
a Sam Kinison stand-up comedy routine cut for TV.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Right. The first censorship, like, discussion, the big discussion that I remember was Eminem. That was, like, the first time I was really like, yo, screw censorship. Like,
I almost got suspended for wearing a Bart Simpson T-shirt to school,
mm,
and I remember NWA coming out, and that's when the explicit sticker came
yes. Yes, I know about that.
Tipper
out. Good
Gore.
times. Yeah, Tipper Gore.
Tipper Gore. Thanks, Tipper.
Word. And Ozzy. I remember Ozzy being a big thing.
Yep.
Way before Marilyn Manson.
That instrumental Frank Zappa album that's got the sticker. Watch out. His notes are offensive. Parental advisory.
Oh, man.
Anyways, what were we talking about?
So you were right at the beginning about the chaos. Now, I hadn't seen this movie in a couple of years. This movie kind of languished. We're referring to Dawn of the Dead, not any of those other things we just went off on a tangent about. Dawn of the Dead didn't really have a great run on Blu-ray. On DVD, it had a heck of a cool special edition with all the cuts and all these special features. And then on at least American Blu-ray, there was like one edition, and it was fine. But it had one cut and on special features. Well, just recently, a British company put out an amazing superset in 4K with all the special features and like 6 different discs because why not? So got that a few months ago, popped it in, and this was probably November, right? So we're still at the height of all these fun things we've been living through the past year. And I'm watching these guys yell at each other about whose study is better and who's got the right science and all this stuff live on TV, and I'm just like, I don't know if I want to watch this movie today.
Oh, dude, I thought the same thing. If
Night of the Living Dead is March of 2020, Dawn of the Dead is October, November of 2020, like leading up to Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And it's
And then
just
you
like,
get I Am Legend in about a year.
Hey, you know, optimism reigns around here.
Right.
Learn to use a crossbow. That's all I'm saying. I like that Will Smith plays a virologist.
It's a great movie.
Cool.
We're probably going to watch it.
We
should. He doesn't want to watch it.
You don't want to watch it?
We just watched that debauchery. You don't want to watch I Am Legend?
Oh, excuse yourself, Travis.
Whoa, the truth comes out.
I'm sorry.
Oh my.
I want to hear all of Travis's problems with this movie.
You know you don't.
Yeah, I do.
All of it.
Well, give me the high points.
I was very disappointed in Tom Savini.
Which
we haven't
is
even
the
talked about Tom Savini.
What's that?
We haven't even talked to George about
Okay.
Tom Savini.
Well, his name was in the credits. All right, don't come back to me yet.
Savini's a special effects artist,
Yeah.
right?
Hey, so George, did you notice that a familiar name was in the credits? Mr. Tom Savini.
I hadn't.
Now that's a fellow you might have heard of because he invented the entire gory slasher genre, essentially, with Friday the 13th.
Savini, was that the guy that was in Vietnam and
Yes.
likes his effects to make him feel uncomfortable, like when he was in Vietnam?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
So he did.
I remember him.
He did this. He basically created Jason
Mm-hmm.
and did the special effects for 2, 3. Not 2. Yeah. 3.
1 and 4.
1 and 4, not 3, because no one likes 3.
4 was good.
Yeah, 1 and 4,
4 was good effects.
and then they kind of used his ideas as the
Jumping off point for
jumping
everything
off point
else.
for everything else. Yeah. But you'll learn about him in Creepshow. You'll learn about him in a lot of movies we're gonna watch because
Okay.
he's kind of iconic.
So in this movie in particular, this was my impression. The blood was too pink
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
everywhere. It was
I think
Yes.
it was almost on purpose.
okay.
Well,
I mean,
here's a funny backstory on that because I don't love trivia, but in this case, it's warranted. Because I said so.
You need a Cliff Clavin voice.
The blood they used for this movie was created by 3M, the corporation, marketed as movie blood.
mm-hmm.
So the producers insisted they buy it because it was made by 3M, a good company.
Okay.
And it exposed really pink. And actually, the version you're watching is color corrected to be less pink.
Mm.
The version I first saw in high school, like pirated off of an old
It's like
VHS tape,
jelly.
it looked like Ghostbusters 2.
Oh God.
Mm.
Ugh.
Like it was
Like magenta.
pink.
Ugh.
It wasn't even magenta. It was pink.
Mm.
It looked like bubble gum falling out of people's eyes.
it's
And
bad.
as the thing is, it creates a certain ambiance with the movie that makes it a little less gross. And then when it gets really gross, it's like shockingly gross because the rest of the time it's just like, oh, it's that bad guy from Ghostbusters 2. He's coming out of the painting.
Mm.
So it's an interesting experience for you. What you're seeing is a slightly color corrected version, and then now it's more red in the later releases. But there's something about pink blood that like it's weird enough of an outlier that it's like, what the hell am I looking at? But
Yeah.
that doesn't make it bad.
The pink blood reminded me of a Jalo. I don't know why.
Yeah,
It's like
well,
that.
Jalos have a real fake blood, like bright red quality in this era.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways it works to like emphasize, it's almost like a Sin City kind of Zack Snyder movie, like heightened reality kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Whereas real fake, like real looking realistic fake blood that you'd see in a Friday the 13th movie, there's no fun there. Like,
But it
when
takes
it's-
it kind of takes me. It's almost like breaking the fourth wall. It takes me out of it when it's not realistic.
you mean the movie with the pie fight and zombies took you out of the movie?
Oh,
with the
I
fake
don't even know
blood?
if I got to that point. I don't even.
Did you not watch the whole movie?
No,
Trent?
I watched it. I know about the pie thing. I know about that.
Travis.
I just was not. They lost me very early, and I really tried.
Mm,
Wow.
Like,
I believe one of those two statements.
like I was already done when I guess the asshole SWAT guys took out the people in the apartment building.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, the makeup is terrible.
Oh,
Yeah.
that headshot.
The headshots
The
are
exploding
terrible.
head is amazing.
It's so bad. The gray, blue, like it just.
Oh my god.
I thought I was watching a cartoon at some point, and I was just
Find
like,
me a better exploding head prior to 1978.
Scanners, maybe,
Dude,
or was that early? That later?
I love
That has to
I
be
love how
later.
Dan like has like a specific challenge with specific qualifiers. I love it.
But you know what? That exploding head
81.
was
Scanners
it
81.
was great, but I didn't give a shit because it was so bad. Like everything else was so bad. Like
You were 5 minutes into
I
a
know,
movie.
but their eyes, like there was just nothing scary about
You're
it. There
never
was
going to get through Death Walks on High Heels.
Yeah, probably not.
Man.
The
Opening scene, you're going to eject it. and hand it back to George.
It was just too much. It was like so obnoxious. The chaos stuff in the beginning was cool. It was I was in it there. The character development of the SWAT guys, the Pete and what's the other guy's name? Steve? No,
Peter and Roger.
Roger. And I kind of like.
Who's Steve?
I don't know. Where did Steve come from?
Steven is Flyboy.
Flyboy Steve.
Oh,
yeah.
His name's Steve.
Steven.
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 It's very Steven.
Yeah, he would be a
proper.
Steven.
He is very Steven.
I like Flyboy.
Yeah, you probably do.
I got taken out. The zombies were just too corny looking.
They were very blue.
I think the movie would have probably played a lot better if it stayed black and white.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
It would have been.
I thought, actually, I had the same thought, and it was like about the skin tone of all the zombies. All the zombies are blue. I was like, that's kind of weird, but okay. The blood would have looked a lot better if it just wasn't colored.
The chomping stuff, like there was no pull on it. Like they would bite someone's neck or arm, and it looked like they were just biting into a piece of cake. There was no.
Oh, dude,
pull
that
on it.
neck bite at the beginning where the guy walks up to his
wife or girlfriend.
He's the zombie. That makes me cringe every
Why?
time I watch this movie.
I thought that was a
because
good
it's
bite.
just
it was a good
empathy
bite,
pain.
but
You see the stretch of the latex and the ooh, yeah, that's gross. That's a gross one.
No, it's just like their eyes don't look any different. They don't look like zombies. They look like people. They look like actors that are like looking at you. Like there was no. And it's part of where I've come from. Like, I enjoy zombie movies, but I think I'm not a fan of the older ones. And
so, George, should I tell Travis that the zombies were people pretty recently? Do you think he knows that?
He probably knows that.
Wait, what?
Okay. I didn't want to update him.
Like, he says, should I tell Travis that the zombies were people?
I know they were people.
Very recently.
There was no, in my mind, there was no change. Let's put it that way. I didn't feel a change.
I think it depended on the actor too.
Okay.
There was,
or the director kind of made. Maybe I'm not a fan of George Romero.
There were some zombies that I agree with you. What I'm saying,
right?
So, I agree with you. Some of the zombies looked like they were just like, it's like, dude, what are you doing? You're supposed to be acting like a zombie.
Yeah.
And they're not. And then there was other zombies that were like acting like zombies. Like, you can clearly tell that's a zombie.
I sat here and watched the end with George, and I couldn't help but not laugh. I held it back. That nurse needed to be fired. Like the chick walking around as a nurse needed to be fired. They should not have paid her.
Yeah.
Terrible. Like she took the Frankenstein thing and she played it to the back of the room. Like I was just like, oh my God, is she seriously gonna walk like Frankenstein the whole time?
That's kind of how zombies walk. I mean,
the guy playing Steven,
the best zombie in the movie,
gave it. He did it on the night. Like
he might be the best zombie in all of the movies.
Yes, the
like
whole
Steven's zombie
foot.
walk is fantastic.
Beautiful. Although I still have a problem. I know Romero is the godfather of zombie movies, but I still have a problem with the abilities. The climbing the ladders, no. Waiting for each other to climb the ladder, like being polite, no.
Right, they just swarm it. That's what they're supposed to do.
I was waiting for that ladder to get knocked over. I'm like, they should just be swarming. There should be no thought. These guys are carrying guns. The one guy's staring at a barrel the whole time. Like, I just...
that was supposed to be comical, I think.
Okay. But I hated it because of the reputation of this movie. Everybody's always said, this is the pinnacle of zombie movies. If you're going to watch zombie, watch Dawn of the Dead. And I'm like, okay. It was so good.
It's not.
Shaun of the Dead actually did a play on the name. You know, everybody talks about how many times they reference Dawn of the Dead in Walking Dead and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm well-versed enough on horror movies to know the imagery of Dawn of the Dead, of the Dead, but I never actually sat down and watched from beginning to end. I've seen all the imagery. I've seen the dead.
Sounds like you still didn't make it from beginning to end.
I saw the dead Roger. I saw the dead Steven. What do you mean? I watched it, but I hated it.
All right.
He just checked out while he was watching it.
There was just a bunch of times where I'm just like, fuck. Like, I literally was angry at George Romero. I was angry at him, and I was angry at the fact.
How dare you create a genre I love and do it in a way I don't agree with?
No, I'm like, how dare you be terrible at this?
No, see, I kind of like see both of your points. Like, you know, I've already said it. Like, I'm excited to see where this goes because I liked this better than last week. You know, I
like
can
last
see
week more.
I can see where it's going.
Right.
And I'm excited that it's going that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was more. I don't know, like
Dan nailed it when he said it's RoboCop meets Clerks. Like, everything that was wrong with RoboCop was wrong with this movie.
Yeah.
Everything that was wrong with Clerks was wrong with this movie. Everything that was endearing about Clerks was endearing about this movie.
Hi, this is Dan in Post. I told George that this was a combination of RoboCop and Clerks, just as I was telling him that there were musical numbers and hardcore inserts. I was just messing with his expectations because I know he wasn't a huge Clerks fan and he wasn't a huge RoboCop fan, and I was worried we'd oversold the movie as this epic pinnacle of zombiedom, which it still is. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is still the best one. But I didn't realize that I was actually working against Travis the whole time. I guess I tricked him. Back to the show.
Yeah, I think this movie is somewhere in the middle. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if this is like the pinnacle, although like obviously who am I? I've seen like 3 zombie movies, but like I can see that it's moving in a certain direction, which I like because, you know, I've seen newer zombie stuff and I like it. So I can see it moving towards that, and it's kind of exciting to see where it goes. But, you know, I understand your side too, that like, you know, it's not there yet.
I was angry.
I know.
Like, I wanted to love it.
Yeah.
And the more I watched, I'm like, what?
This was the first time you watched it
From
straight
beginning
through.
to end, straight through. Yeah.
I spent the entire week trying to lower George's expectations, and I should have been trying to lower your expectations, Travis. But I thought
should
you'd
have.
seen it before.
I was so Dan. I was angry. Like, I think I kicked a dog. I was so angry, and I don't even have a dog. I don't have a dog, so I don't know what I kicked. But I'm just saying, I've wanted to be a special effects artist since I was probably 8 years old. I've seen thousands of horror movies. I will never watch this movie again.
Ooh,
Ever.
brutal.
The remake is at least watchable because it's up to date visually. The characters are more developed.
That would be nice.
But it's
The
not the
character-
classic.
The hold on. Did you say the characters in the Dawn of the Dead remake are better developed than the characters in this movie?
Yes, and that's not saying much.
Oh.
There was zero character development in this movie.
A little bit.
All right, a little bit.
There's a little bit. You had a little thing going between Roger and Peter. They were like, although they did look at each other a lot. You know, like you know how when you look at someone and you're both thinking the same thing. They just did that a lot.
SWAT guy, man.
There's
SWAT
just
time.
too much corny comedy with the zombies, like falling in the pool, the pie fight. Fucking what? Seriously,
The
putting
pie fight.
pies in the face. The motorcycle guys, all ridiculous.
Yes.
Now I can see where The Walking Dead kind of got the idea for the
Yes.
Negan group from that movie.
You can see where it's going, and doesn't that make
Absolutely.
you excited?
No,
Okay.
no, I'm excited about where we're going, yes, but I'm not excited about what I just watched. Like I was angry, and I don't even know how to. I know people are going to be so mad at me because I'm saying this because I'm supposed to be, you know, I'm supposed to like the classics, but
Yeah.
God,
See, what
You
the
know-
Motorcycle Gang did for me was it established that the people are actually more dangerous than the zombies.
Bingo.
and they kind of established
That's-
that even with the SWAT guy in the very beginning. Like he's running around,
Yes. Yes.
you know, he thinks it's
But-
the OK Corral, and he's
Right.
like, yeah,
But that was a group. That
Mhm.
was a, you know,
Yes,
a
and-
horde of people that were like, you know, all they would do is like wreck shit.
Yeah.
And that's like even worse than zombies.
and that's something that continues through the genre.
Yes.
And it's actually established in Night of the Living Dead.
It
We've
is.
always established that people are worse than the monsters.
Yes.
So,
At the very end, I think we established that.
well, they establish that with the group with the guns who shoot Ben, but they also establish it with the guy with the family in the basement. Like, the whole time, you don't know if you can never trust him.
Right.
So they establish very early in the genre that people suck, zombies are slow,
Yeah.
fight the
Yeah,
dead.
I think the
fear the
difference
living.
between the guy with the family in the basement and a group of bikers
Right.
is that as an individual you can be weak
Mhm.
and you can be
You have
like
to work together.
slimy, but like if people really want to, they can be horrible.
Mhm.
You know, and being weak in a point of stress is not so bad, not as bad as just being a terrible person and teaming up with a bunch of other terrible people to do terrible things.
And what's funny is that's what Kirkman basically built his comic book on.
Yes,
and
and that's why it's so beautiful.
right. And what's funny is that's great development. They are able to create 10 to 15 groups for a 12-year series,
Yeah.
and every group is a little different, but they all have the same, basis.
Yep.
And to me, I get that, and I was fine with that. To me, execution was my problem with this movie. It wasn't the story.
Yeah.
It was execution. I get the whole going to the mall and the consumer, undertones and all that
Yeah.
80s bullshit, late 70s, early 80s bullshit about people. I get that, but it takes you out of the movie when you're watching comedy and you're supposed to be watching horror. And they had already lost me even before they started falling in the mall in the pond. Like, I was almost waiting for ducks to swim by and sit on their head. Like, I was just anything that was gonna happen, I would have been like, "Yep, there's the ducks," and they're sitting on his head, and it's going wah wah wah. Like, to me, nothing would have been out of the realm, and that's not what I want in my horror movies. I get that it's fun, but yeah,
Okay.
lost me. And it started with the effects. Even when that cool scene where Pete almost gets shot when they're in the convenience store, I think.
Yes.
And that was a great exchange. And then Roger kept stepping in and knocking Steven out of the way. And
Yes.
this is how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. But then it took me totally out with the Argyle or the plaid shirt wearing zombie with the hamburger on his face and the eyeball that's on his cheek instead of, like, it was, the effects were bad, and it was worse because it bothered me because I knew it was Tom Savini, and I'm like, ooh, that's my hero, that's my idol, and he's
So the zombie that they put on the poster and all of the box art for this movie for 50 years,
Yeah.
didn't do it for you.
not in the movie. In the artwork, it looks great. I don't know what it was. It was almost like there's a scene in T2 where Arnold is part robot, part Arnold,
Mm-hmm.
and half his face is gone. It bothered me the whole time that red eye was not moving when his other eye was moving. Like, it was just stationary. And that's a multi-million-dollar budget. That's my other idol, Stan Winston.
Mm-hmm.
That's Stan Winston Studios. That is top-notch James Cameron bullshit. And I watched that movie, and I'm like, what is up with the eye, and why isn't it moving?
Maybe it's broken.
It was lit up.
The effects in this movie, I thought that the entrails were good.
Yeah.
Oh, the guts are
Yeah,
great.
the guts are good.
The exploding head is fantastic.
Yes.
I will die on that hill. That is, I mean,
I hear you.
They had some good stuff.
and that's an effect you see used multiple times. Scanners steals the implementation, but does it in a different way.
Right.
Maniac, Tom Savini does it to himself,
Mm-hmm.
which is hilarious to think that he would set up an effect of himself.
Now, the iconic
Uh,
machete head kill is in this movie.
yes, it is.
And it looks great.
Yep.
And he uses
Yeah,
that a
now
few times.
that's one thing to connect to our Friday the 13th movies. Now, George, the mustachioed, machete-wielding biker guy
Mm-hmm.
who does the machete to the face, do you recognize that guy at all?
Should I?
That's Tom Savini, bro.
What?
That's Tom Savini.
Yeah, Tom Savini is the like mustachioed, machete wielding biker guy.
Oh, word.
Later to be Sex
Yeah.
Machine.
We're not there yet.
Not there yet.
But
That's
we
the guy
will
with the
be.
comb, right? He's combing his mustache.
Yes, combs his mustache with a switchblade comb, and he uses the machete, and machete's a man in the face.
Nice.
And then just a couple years later, when he gets the role that's going to change his whole career, the primary weapon used to decapitate Mrs. Voorhees is the machete.
Of course.
And that's not an accident. Like,
No,
yeah. So you got the roots of Friday the 13th in here, too.
Absolutely.
I love it. Can we talk about the splatter?
But wait, I know we're not going to be able to tag or, at Tom Savini because of all the bullshit I just said. I am probably the biggest Tom Savini fan. Like,
Yeah.
literally, if there was pictures on my wall when I was a kid, it was Tom Savini pictures. Like, it wasn't.
Was he wearing a shirt or?
It didn't matter. Like, I was
Eh.
such a fan. So, again, not even realize he did back then. I didn't see this, so I didn't put two and two together. But I watched this one, and it just angered me that it was him.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I don't know if that kind of adds to my anger.
Did he do stuff before this that was better than this? Or was he like
This was like one of his first.
right? So
things, yeah.
it was. So he. What I'm saying is maybe he wasn't like the Tom Savini yet.
No, I know.
He had to make this movie to get
This is all
to where
true,
he's at.
but it's
Now, something I don't think that Travis has expressed enough appreciation for. And George, I don't know if you've thought about this yet. The scale of this movie versus the crew and budget of this movie is way out of whack. And it's that scale that's going to lead you to decisions like, well, we've already bought all this 3M blood, we have to use it even if it looks kind of silly.
Mm-hmm.
Down to, we've got to make 150 zombies with 4 makeup artists, and we have to have it ready for when the mall closes at 7 so we can all film until 7 when the mall opens again.
Mm.
Clerks.
Right.
Clerks rules.
Yeah.
It's independent
Yeah.
cinema, man.
Yeah. I hear
I
you.
think that I don't know that we're ever going to convince Travis of the merits of independent cinema. Just as I'm never going to try to get Travis to listen to the early live Bob Dylan bootlegs. Right? The man he demands polish, and without polish, he is unpleased, and that's fine.
That's not true.
He is
There's
unpleased.
there are many independent films that were made with peanuts that I liked. I don't know them
Name
right
3,
now.
go.
That's a great word.
I would have to see a list of low budget films, and I'd be like, well, Halloween's one of them. I mean, Halloween was what, 100 and, or is it 300,000?
Halloween is a low budget Hollywood movie, but it is by no means like
No, it's not on the scale. Definitely,
it's not on that scale, especially for a cast of like 7 people.
Yeah,
And a bunch of outdoor locations they got for free.
I know. I just I hate when you say that because I get that. I understand that. But it doesn't, in my mind, it doesn't compute because I've done things on a budget.
Yeah, you're just like,
And
just,
I'm like,
just do it right.
Just do it right.
Like, find
that's all.
find another investor to get more money.
Corn syrup
and do
is
it
not
right.
that expensive.
Yeah.
Like, if you know it doesn't look right, don't be like, well, add something to the 3M blood. Add some food coloring. I don't know, but it
Yeah.
looks like the shit underneath New York City in Ghostbusters 2. You're so right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I want to just mention my favorite, I think it was my favorite effect in the whole movie. You might think I'm stupid, but when Steven gets shot in the head, the splatter on the wall,
Phenomenal.
The whole scene was cut perfectly.
Mhm.
There were other spots in the movie where you could tell like there was like they cut the film in a certain way and it just didn't look right.
Right.
That one was done beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
The shot, the whole scene, the cut, the splatter, it was just
Now, it would have been cool
Beautiful.
if they did that. I guess they didn't do it with Roger because they did it with Steven. But Roger's like sitting there with that actually the best makeup in the movie.
mm-hmm.
That pale face,
Mm-hmm.
prune face. He looked like a Dick Tracy villain.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sitting there and he's got the blonde hair, the pale sheets, the pale wall. Everything's pale.
Yes.
Except for his, like that
Looked like
wall.
a Kubrick
Yeah.
scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
It looked like this. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm like, that's a perfect wall for a head splatter.
Yeah.
And then they did an off-screen shot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn. But then you get it. I guess you get it with
later.
Steven. But it's like that room was so peaceful looking. It was screaming for a headshot.
It sure was.
Maybe a head.
But would
roll?
you have enjoyed it the same way? Because Roger is such like an endearing underdog character versus Flyboy, who I think by the end of the movie everybody probably agrees he's kind of a
Bit of a
douchebag.
douche, yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, okay,
But he's got the best
and
zombie
he's
walk.
also the zombie that leads them all. Like, he's the betrayer zombie, right?
Right.
He's the Judas who leads them back.
I
Now-
actually saw Steven as someone who gained competence through the movie.
He did have an arc.
He was
had
just
a
very
growth arc,
selfish.
but he falls short,
Yeah.
and it's they're all selfish.
they're
I
all
mean,
kinda
think back to the
selfish.
cigarettes scene
Yeah.
at the beginning
Mm.
with the guy who would later convince them that they'd be stuck.
We'd
They'd
be stuck. We'd be stuck.
Community theater acting at its best. I love that
Yes.
guy.
I wouldn't say at its
but yeah,
best.
You got any cigarettes? Got any cigarettes? Got any cigarettes? And then they're all like, no, go away. And then immediately both of them light up. You're just like, oh, okay, I see who these guys are now. Like, boom,
See,
character moment.
That has come up a few times, the community theater thing. Not offended by it, but it's not
a little
it's,
offended
It's
by it.
not an excuse. Like I have been doing, not recently, but I have done community theater for like 20 years, and I've met some of the best actors I've ever seen in community theater, if they're directed correctly. So the talent is there. All you have to do is have an audition process with a cold read, or not even a cold read. Give them the fucking script and let them learn it overnight. But figure out they can deliver a line, and you'll be set. Like, there's plenty of people that are in acting classes that are in Pittsburgh. I mean, it's a big city.
You should be able to find.
You got
decent
Carnegie
actors.
Mellon College right there. I mean, I'm sure he had an association with Carnegie Mellon. I've read that. So, I mean, you could easily get some top-notch you don't need Broadway actors. You don't want actors that can belt it. But there's plenty of community theater in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I mean, if they put My Musical number in, they would.
yeah.
I don't know. I equated it to someone who has seen Broadway shows their whole life, and then they have to go watch their niece or nephew in a high school play.
Mm.
And the whole time they're sitting there going, "Oh my god. Oh my god." Like,
It's worse than that, because it's not like when you go to a high school play, you have an expectation.
right.
What this was more like, oh, go see this other thing. It's like, it's the roots of Broadway. You'll
Right.
love it.
Ugh, these roots, they're covered in dirt. I like my trees in the air.
And you go there and it's like high school.
Well, I was just speaking, like, even someone like me who has seen, like, when I go watch a high school play, I hate it for the wrong reasons. Because I sit there and I go, why didn't they
You could have
why
done
didn't
so
they do
much.
this? It would have cost them $10 and they could have done this,
Yeah.
this, and this.
I
Like,
think you do that with the movies.
And I do
too.
that with movies as well.
I think you just did that with the
Mhm.
3M blood
Yeah.
Yes.
You
and the
did.
casting and the directing. and the cutting.
I think it stems from I really wanted to like it.
Yeah.
You carry a heavy burden, Travis.
Yeah. I'm a perfectionist. And I just, I don't know. When I see it can be done easier and or better and or cheaper, and they don't bother, it bothers me.
Sure.
Especially with a movie, because I'm like, you probably took you 9 years of your life to make this movie. Fucking put everything into it. It doesn't have to be financially put everything, but you have to look at that blood and go,
Yeah.
doesn't look good, or at least make the walls darker.
Mm.
Something. I don't know. Play with film it in bad film.
Figure it out.
Make it sketchy. Like,
Figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out.
Yeah.
Do what they did in Texas Chainsaw. I'm sure that was a low budget film. I mean, it was a Hollywood film, but it was low budget. When in doubt, make it grainy. Make it dark.
Yeah.
Don't make it pastel-y. Pastels don't
But
work.
I mean, if you say that though, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre will never really look that much better than the Blu-ray. Like, it didn't improve that much with 4K because 16 millimeter has so many limits
Right.
and the exposure was low. Whereas this, a movie but again, the Italian influence, right? shoot it well, shoot it on good stuff, and it lasts forever. Blown up from 35, this movie looks amazing on 4K, and it'll probably look good at 8K in 10 years when they do it again.
But that sounds
You're not
good,
going to see that on Texas Chainsaw.
But sometimes I don't care what it looks like.
Yeah.
I want it to be good.
Mm.
So if it looks like it was filmed on someone's iPhone, but it's amazing storytelling and well executed effects, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I have to say I don't really care as much what the movie looks like.
Yeah, like I said, I watched Texas Chainsaw on
You know.
VHS just for the effect of it being grainy.
Unless we're talking about like, I don't know, something. Star Wars comes to mind, or something like
Something
that, where
epic,
like, you want to see a good picture, the
Dark
best
Knight.
picture you can.
You want to watch Dark Knight
exactly
in the biggest screen you can with the best sound system,
Yeah.
because it was filmed.
But a zombie movie,
IMAX.
but I think of something like the Blair Witch Project. You know,
You don't need the Blu-ray of Blair
right,
Witch.
you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but hey,
Some people do.
Dan does.
I look at Blu-ray. Think
He's
about
gonna
how,
get Blair Witch in 8K when it comes out.
Think about how many people are not working anymore because of high def TV.
I never thought about that.
But I think of like some actors that just don't look good in high def because
Oh, those kind of people.
yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, I can see every little pore in their face, and I
Like
can
Ray
see the
Liotta?
surgery they had. Yeah, Ray Liotta.
He hasn't done a movie since
So,
Blu-rays came out.
but I mean, there's a lot of actors where just because they don't look right, they might be the best actor on the planet, but because they don't look good in high def, they aren't working right now. That's not right either.
I
disagree.
don't know.
Yeah,
I
whatever.
don't know that that's a thing. As long as Robert Davi's still working, that's not a thing. I love Robert Davi. He's my favorite.
Yeah, he's got a lot of pox. Yeah.
But the thing is, keep in mind that when they made this movie, when they made the movies in the 90s, when they made really up until The Matrix and beyond, everything that was shot on 35 millimeter looked great in the theater.
Yeah.
Looked better than high def in the theater if you had a decent theater. So I don't know if I buy that not working because of HD thing. I mean,
It's more television than movies, I think.
you guys need to get off the television train, man. There's no, it doesn't lead to
I'm
anywhere but
not.
disappointment.
I'm not on the television train at all. Unless you're talking about HBO, which is not television.
Television. It's an Xbox One ad. Television.
Watch
television.
TV. It's TV. TV and TV remote. TV experience.
So anyways, what else do we want to talk about this movie?
To go back to the zombies' abilities,
Mm-hmm.
which I have a big hang up on
He
as
did
well.
take away some zombie abilities. They're not completely gone, but he did take them away. He made them more rudimentary.
He made them like childlike. Almost like Frankenstein. Like Frankenstein is technically a zombie. He's reanimated.
Yeah.
So they kind of took away the flesh-eating, freight trains and kind of made them into almost like 2-year-olds in the body of adults, and they're still kind of recalling stuff they were doing. I'm fine with that. Like when Steven was walking around with the gun in his finger.
Steven.
Like he didn't drop the gun, but he wasn't really holding it either.
Right.
The other guy, terrible.
Well, but they make it a point. I mean, it's a plot device, but they say in the exposition that they have these memories.
Mm-hmm.
They can't explain them. They can't, evaluate them. They just know that they want to be in the mall. They just know that this gun needs to be in their hand, and they remember, but they don't remember. Right?
Yeah,
they don't understand.
That's the whole reason why Steven gets back to upstairs.
Right.
Exactly.
Because he doesn't realize why he's banging, like he's pushing on that wall.
Which,
Well, and the Hare Krishna zombie who just,
you mean
wanders.
the Moby?
Wanders. Shout out to Megan, her favorite zombie, my good friend Megan, who is still terrified of the Hare Krishna zombie. I should probably text her a picture right now. Sorry, Megan.
Oh man.
Although they throw back to that a little bit in Shaun of the Dead. Like at the end when they where they figure out that hey, zombies, the people that are affected by the zombie thing, they can still
there's
gather
still jobs
carts
they can do.
Yeah. They can still gather carts at Walmart
Right,
and they
right.
can, whatever, and what's his name is still playing Nintendo in the garage. Like, yeah, they still got something there.
Well, I think that's
That's a
Shaun of the
spoof.
Dead.
It's a
Shaun of the
spoof,
Dead
yeah.
is a spoof of these 3 Romero films. The third one being Day of the Dead, which you have not seen yet.
Right.
So it's nothing new what they did in Shaun. It was full
I know.
homage, right? So that commentary goes way back. So, like that whole idea, they hold their gun, it's in their head, they go shopping. Like, it's all about consumerism and this and that. Like, I get that.
Yeah,
whole
that was the
commentary.
message at that point. Yeah.
I far more love and that's why I think I like Night of the Living Dead better. I like the idea of the bikers coming in and being a threat, as opposed to commentary on capitalism and consumerism and all that crap. Like, I enjoy the story of people being dangerous, stupid people getting killed, Darwinism, all that stuff. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with the trust till I don't trust. That stuff's all good, and I like those tropes, and I will watch those till I die. I love that zombie world. Yeah. But some of the commentary, I'm just like I think I rolled my eyes a few times watching this. I was just like, come on.
Well, but George, did you appreciate that awful feeling of like empty existence that they had after Roger died? Where they have this moment of safety and all the zombies inside have been hunted and cleared out. Nature within them all has been defeated. Nature on the outside is at bay, but Roger is dead. And now it is just sadness and like emptiness and like bleak existence with no future, like ambitions. Like, it executes that feeling so well.
There's 4 plates at the table, I noticed.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like they're in mourning, but like they're safe, and it's like this is what we wanted, and it sucks.
Yep.
Do they establish how far time has gone?
Well, they made her much more pregnant, so a few months at least.
Okay. I mean, that's something right out of Walking Dead too. That whole they totally pay homage to that.
Yep.
That whole mentality of this is what we were supposed to do. This is what was supposed to happen, and because of my decisions, this is never going to happen. Like, they do that constantly.
Yeah.
So I'm cool with that.
Yeah, but I did notice that, Dan. And
then it all comes back. I mean, this consumerism thing, where you stand on the merits of consumerism, but I've worked for 25 years. I have 2.5 kids. I have a house and a mortgage that's in good shape, and I have a wife who's been with me the whole time. Now what?
It's a big problem. I
and
think
it's still a big problem. I mean, this movie is, 50 years old at this point?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing with his films. Like, and anything done in the 70s, like, they tackle the big questions that even today we're still talking about.
We watched De Palma's Sisters last night, my wife and I, and she just, at one point, she goes, wait, what year was this? And I told her, 73. She's like, we're no better. It's like, yeah, still a problem. All of it's still a problem.
Can we talk about the A-Team music playing when Pete was taking things out towards the end? When there's...
all the music in this movie, with the exception of the awesome but like foreboding and scary goblin stuff, is so the opposite of what you expect in every scene. And then the A-Team music is so like on the nose.
So bad.
Why is it bad? Tell me why it's bad.
It was bad because it became just his theme song for that scene. And when they cut away, the music changed. And then they got back to it when he came out of the hatch, it was like dun 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 dun. Like, I was almost expecting B.A. Baracus to come out with the mohawk on.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like this other movie I saw. It came out about the same time, where like one guy'd be on the screen and it was like do 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 do, and then this lady'd be on the screen and be like do 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 do.
Not the same. It's not a score. Man. It was just all of a sudden, out of the blue, this A-Team music is playing, this hero music, and it was just corny. It wasn't.
What would sound better when he's out there heroing it up? What music would you propose they play
Not
instead?
That. Just something. That's not
just
that.
one of all the other songs ever written by humankind. Just in particular, not that one song.
I think Travis has given
think-
enough practical ways that this movie could be improved.
It just seemed out of place. Like there's just so many things it takes you out of takes it out. Breaks it totally Deadpools you. Just fourth wall broken kind of stuff where you're like, okay, I was watching a movie, now I'm is this an episode of The Office? Like what's going on? Like I don't, and sometimes I don't mind that. I don't mind the fourth wall or the conversation with the character to find out what they're thinking at that moment. But that's not what I got with the music. That A-Team music, I literally almost laughed when you were watching it because I heard it earlier.
Yeah.
I heard it last night and I heard it earlier today, and I'm just like, now it's almost forgivable because the whole movie has the same feel that RoboCop has, whereas it's satire almost.
Mm-hmm.
So it is forgivable per se if that's what he intended, but I don't know if he did.
He had zombies fighting with pies.
I know.
He had a guy taking his own blood pressure, eaten, and then a blood pressure of 0.
Yeah, no.
That was very.
I'm not sure if he was in on the joke.
That was very RoboCop.
Oh, I
So
love
bad.
that part.
But I don't
so
even know
much.
what's that satire of though, or is that just?
It's
corny?
not necessarily satire. It's just a gag.
Ugh.
Like, have you ever laughed at a thing? Because that's a thing that you could laugh at. Be like, huh, 0. His blood pressure is 0.
Yes, because there's no heart attached to that
Yeah.
arm anymore. So.
But if you think of all the old people, when we were kids, at least when I was a kid, when you were in college, but you'd see these old ladies go to the drugstore, and then as part of it, they would sit there and just sit in the cuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very like strange in a public setting to just like disengage and in front of everybody take a vital sign. It's a strange thing that they were starting in the 70s.
Yeah, I've done it.
So you've probably seen it.
Sometimes you want to check and make sure before you get in the car. But then again, I'm much older, so.
But it's a thing that he noticed as a strange facet of consumer life where you would go to a store and publicly in front of people submit your biometric data to the room. Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
So he put it in the movie, and then he made a joke out of it.
That's actually a funny joke, but is lost. It's lost because of the stuff like the pie fight. Like, it's just, that would be funny to see like a zombie walking with an arm gone. He's got an arm off, like they say that in Shaun of the Dead. And he's dragging behind him his arm with the blood pressure. That's funny, and that's not necessarily bad.
It's supposed to be funny. It's very
Yes.
clearly supposed to be funny.
And it's as long as it's not done comically, it doesn't take you out of it. But if it's funny still, like Shaun of the Dead makes me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And it's supposed to, but it never takes me out of the story.
Travis, cover your ears. George, I think you should tell him that Shaun of the Dead is also a comedy.
I know it's a comedy, but it's still better than this.
It's also 30 years newer.
I know.
Hey,
but
so the pie fight, though, I mean, for real, though, it isn't as out of place as we make it sound with me pointing to it as evidence of actual comedy. Because it demonstrates with those raiders, right, that they have become so used to life on the road with these zombies that they no longer fear them.
Mm-hmm.
They let them in with them. They do not take them seriously as a threat anymore. They walk around without their masks on, or at least with their noses poking out, because they're not going to live in fear of the zombie horde.
Yes. I noticed
And
that.
so, something as silly as, oh, hey, here's some pies. Well, shoot, we're not afraid of these zombies anymore. Let's smack them in the face with some pies. Ha, 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 ha. We're not afraid of you anymore, right? They turn into Kevin from Home Alone. Well, I'm not afraid anymore, right?
Hey, I'm not afraid anymore.
And then they get fucking killed because they didn't take it
see,
seriously
there's a
anymore, and it's
way
still
to-
a threat.
there's a way to do that where you remain a horror movie without being clown show. Like,
exactly what Dan just said is how I took the pie thing.
yeah, but you can do that by simply chaining and or roping 2 zombies to your biker friends and kind of act like it's like they're fighting with the horde around them and they're not scared. You can establish that they're not scared of these
You
things.
went to zombie bondage really fast. Like, I feel like you'd thought of that before.
Well, no, they have.
No, like make them like have
Doesn't-
a fist fight, but have
Yeah,
the zombies be the ropes.
Doesn't
like
doesn't
do that.
Negan's group do something like that?
No, the governor's group does that.
The governor's
They
group
have
does
the
that.
they have the fights, but I mean, I'm not saying that because Walking Dead did it. I'm just saying
I am gonna Men in Black zap you guys
no,
of the Walking Dead knowledge for the
because
rest
they
of
did
this.
it better. Period. That
Because
show
they had something to build off of.
that's fine, but I'm saying it is a frame of reference. But I'm saying the movie, the Godfather of zombie films, didn't think of this, but Walking Dead did. So what I'm saying is, if he's the Godfather, he's the God Almighty of zombie films, and you want to establish that these things are dangerous, but these guys are not scared of them. Instead of turning them into buffoons, turn them into a threat that these guys are not scared of.
Yeah.
But you turn them into buffoons, so therefore the whole thing is buffoonery. So the bikers are not scary, the zombies are not scary, the scene is not scary, the movie's not scary.
Although, hold on. Another thing that I just thought of that they do in Walking Dead started in this movie, using the zombies to your advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
Yeah.
when they were planning, how are we going to deal with these 20 bikers? And I think there was more than 20 of them. But anyway, how are we going to deal with all these bikers? They were like, well, they're letting them in the bay doors. All we have to do is like lay low and they're going to get swarmed in here.
Mhm.
Like that's
It's
something
used
that,
a bunch of times.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I
they
get
would
it.
They would take a box truck, they'd fill it with zombies, and then break through a wall,
And
when
open the door.
and then open the door,
Boom.
and boom. It's a Trojan horse.
Yep.
So I get it, and it's like I said, it's being done.
I
as-
think I'm in just the right spot, Dan, because I don't worship this movie and I don't hate this movie either. I see how this movie influenced where the genre went.
Mhm.
And it's got a lot of warts, it's got a lot of like cringy stuff, but I get it. So I think I'm in a good spot.
Word. And you know what's funny?
What's funny?
The people making Walking Dead are my age, and I guarantee you, a lot of them sat and watched movies like this and went, "Come the fuck on! This is great. This is a great start, but let's do this for real."
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, as much as I sound like a dick and I'm like hating on everybody's favorite movie, you don't get great things without this trash. That's the way I look at it. And I understand why people love this movie because it's whatever it is. But like I said before, if you want to establish that these things are scary and dangerous, then make them scary and dangerous. Don't make them clowns, because then nothing works. Like it just becomes, oh, cool, that was a head explosion. That was cool.
Yeah.
Oh, cool, they fell from the second floor and exploded. That was cool. Like instead of like actually being in the movie and scared.
Yeah, I agree. There's like, there were times when the zombies were supposed to be scary, and then there was times where they were just like fumbling around and like they were easy to avoid and they were a joke. And they needed to be one or the other.
Well,
They
but
need to
do
be
they
scary.
need to be a set value when part of the story itself is the character growth of our 4 main leads? So at the beginning of the movie, in the chaos of the news station and the coming swarm of zombies that they're all trying to avoid with the helicopter,
Mhm.
the SWAT takedown of the building, the zombies are still scary and they're still a threat. Right?
Mhm.
In the mall at the beginning, Flyboy one-on-one with a pistol versus a zombie.
Mm-hmm.
That's an actual, like, tense, scary scene.
Mm-hmm.
But as their abilities grow, the zombies are going to naturally become a different or lesser threat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But again, it can be handled seriously.
Yeah.
With some humor. Again, I'm not against humor, believe me. One of my favorite movies is American Werewolf in London. I know it has humor in it, but it doesn't. Like, there is humor in a lot of my favorite movies that are scary.
But did they mean to put the humor in, or
in what?
Of course they did. Of course they did.
Yeah,
they did. Yeah.
They know the pie in the face is funny, in a way, but it's still.
But it's not the right kind of funny. It's not. It's kind of lazy. I don't know.
Did you like the quote at the beginning? If it's anything like Philly, we may never get out alive. I wrote that quote down for you guys. I thought you'd like that.
That's funny.
Bad things happen.
Bad things happen in Philadelphia. But it's true. I mean, I don't know.
And we can say that because we're from Philly.
We're from Philly.
And last week you were like, "Oh God, if this happened here, we'd have to get out of Philly."
It's true.
I was like, "Yeah, you would."
Definitely.
Well, it's because it's overpopulated.
Yeah.
Well, that's why.
Yeah,
that's why Flyboy had to fly out.
Yeah, that's why they didn't stop in what was it, Cleveland, or something? Yeah.
And my all-time favorite line where he says, "I saw it on a map," looking all smug with. Jeez Louise. He was the best zombie, though. I mean, up to this point, he is the best, most effective zombie actor.
Talking about Steven
Flyboy.
You know who
oh my.
wasn't effective and was featured #1 zombie, other than Hamburger Face, plaid.
Don't forget Hare Krishna is zombie.
No, the extremely innovative effect of the one that gets top of his head chopped off in the helicopter.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's a cool scene. I know the makeup could use a little patting down. He looks a little bit Frankenstein-y with that big old head on top.
The big old head, it doesn't, like, they don't even have to tell you what's going to happen. You know that's going to be an effect because it looks, he's wearing a bad wig and his head's square. Yeah. He steps up on boxes. Like, again, why are these things stepping up on boxes and climbing? Like,
But would you rather have a movie where you cannot show a man get the top of his head cut off by a helicopter? Or would you rather see them do the best they can?
Yes.
They cut the man's head off with a fucking helicopter. Like, that's amazing.
I like that.
Yeah, they should probably have figured out how to do it without having him climb up on boxes.
Well, if they had a lot more money and a lot more time. They're like the Bentonville Ripper, but instead of being
probably
too much money, too much class,
there's nothing,
too much to do and not enough time.
Nothing against having a struggle, and the blades become the finality of that struggle. There's nothing against that. It's done. It was done in. I mean, Indiana Jones, the Raiders of the Lost Ark was a plane propeller, but
completely off screen though. Completely off screen. There's a struggle.
Yeah, you
and
see
there's
the
a
splatter.
blood
Right.
splatter.
But I mean, and
they could have done that, but it wouldn't have been satisfying.
No. I like the top of the head chop, but get me there. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Get me to that head chop, and I'm on board.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
Like, it could have been better.
Like the whole struggle for the hammer. She's sitting there doing nothing. Like I just.
Also, the hammer was like within the length of like a finger's length, and he moved towards the hammer like 4 feet, like 3 times, and it was still at the end of his fingers. I'm like, how did it get so far away? He was just right next to it.
And then Flat Top's in the back, and he's literally waddling because he knows it's not his cue yet. So he's waddling, and he's waddling, and he's walking real slow.
Yeah, it was odd that he didn't become part of the scene before he got his head chopped off.
Yeah.
It was odd, now that I think about it. But
don't let him in. Don't let Travis
listen,
into
it's
you.
not going to change my
It's not going to change.
opinion.
It's fine.
I want to hear Travis's opinion on Deuteronomy.
Why?
Because I don't think you'd be into that Old Testament garbage.
Dan.
Deuteronomy.
That's funny. Might have to put that on a t-shirt. I'm not.
Jeez Louise. So, George.
All in all, I like the movie.
Yeah, right.
Damn right. George, where do we go from here, man?
I don't know. The next George Romero film?
The next Romero film hits in 85.
Is that
So
one of the
we've got
best
a little
decades
bit-
ever?
Ugh.
word?
You weren't even alive yet, were you?
Dan was.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
You were not.
Much like Day of the Dead, I am a product of 85.
You were born in 85?
I was born in 85,
Okay.
bro.
Well, I was 10 and 85 rocked.
I was -3.
Nice.
So, couple of things we should probably hit up before we move on,
Mm-hmm.
George. First of all, guns.
Guns.
This movie had a lot of guns.
Mm.
Did you notice the switch in weaponry from modern assault rifles
Mm-hmm.
to cowboy guns
Yes.
as they built their Alamo?
Yes.
Mm.
The theme continues.
They
Yes,
even
I
had the
did.
bullet bandoliers.
They did. They had bandoliers like
Mhm.
motherfuckers. It was crazy.
Yep.
Shotguns and shit. And then they had the like an upgraded version of the Winchester.
I did
Mm.
see a
Repeater.
Winchester repeater.
Yeah.
I did.
Because the one on the Winchester's there, it's on the wall, but they pick up like an upgraded one, a Savage 99, I believe is what the internet told me it was.
It had a the one with the scope on it, right?
Yeah,
thought that was
it's a
odd.
shame.
Yeah.
It was the Les Paul like custom shop
with a
of
Floyd Rose.
guns. Because the guy was like, "Oh, it's a shame the only people that could actually fire this couldn't afford it or whatever."
Mm.
No,
Was there
no.
a reason why all that armory, and he chose like that little 22 that a hooker would wear in her garter belt?
The Derringer,
Yeah.
another
like what?
Western reference. Yeah, that was for him. That was like his cyanide pill, man.
Okay.
That was his
'cause
just in case.
Yes.
Gotcha. So it's
Or,
like
you know,
Hicks's
maybe he's a
sawed-off.
big fan of Sartana, who used a 4-shot Derringer.
Or maybe that's a reference to Giallo films. Don't they sometimes have those up close guns?
No.
No?
But the spaghetti westerns used them. I mean, that
Yeah, they
Sartana
definitely
guy, he had like a little 4-shot Derringer type thing that he used, which
Usually the
I think was a
females would
James
carry
Bond
Yeah.
reference. I don't know. Sartana's an interesting case. You guys aren't familiar with that, I'm sure, but
no.
it's like before Giallo, like at the height of spaghetti western, but it's influenced kind of by James Bond movies.
Mm.
Very weird. So I think the Derringer in that movie is like a PPK equivalent,
Gotcha.
whereas in this movie, the Derringer is his cyanide pill, his just in case.
Mm.
A lot of guns in this movie, but a lot of like practical choices, really. Once the M16s are gone, it's just hunting rifles and old time cowboy stuff. Lots of fun.
Well, it's all stuff that's available in the mall,
Yeah.
right? So it's like they're not gonna-
Revolvers.
Yeah.
Back then, they weren't going to have
Hunting
the
rifles
M16s.
and-
So once the riot guns were gone, out of bullets, they didn't really have those.
But notice he let his M16 go. Just let it go, man. Like, I don't know what they're trying to say there, but it's interesting. It's an interesting statement.
I was like, no, you don't let that shit go at all.
Well, if you don't have any ammo for it, then what do you need it for?
Well, we didn't establish that.
Because you're not going to find that ammo in the store.
I know, but we didn't establish that they didn't have any ammo left. Maybe if you had established that, yeah, let the gun go.
Hence why episode 1 of Walking Dead is so important when he gets the bag of guns from the police station, because you're not going to get ammo for those kind of guns out in the, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You got to get that from different sources.
Unless, of
bag.
course, your remake of Dawn of the Dead takes place at Walmart, in which case you're good.
That's true.
You're
But
good.
definitely not at a shopping mall. You're not getting that.
And we should probably briefly take a visit to my favorite corner of the show, which is SWAT Corner. We've made it to the TV show SWAT era of blue pajamas and assault rifles and shotguns.
You need Pete's theme
I've been
song.
promising this for a while, guys. We're here. Blue pajamas, shotguns, assault rifles.
Nice.
Yeah. Mainstream. This is the beginning of mainstream SWAT teams. It's not even a thing. It's just, oh yeah, that's Philly's SWAT team. That's what they do. So interesting. We've made it there. It's 78. So we're later than Dirty Harry. We're not quite to Silence of the Lambs, but we're here.
Mm.
The Old Testament of SWAT Corner. So George, we talked a lot about how Psycho influenced basically every slasher movie.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially between Psycho, the in-between stuff, and then Halloween, a genre is created. And then when we talked with Troy a while back, we talked about how Bava comes out with Blood and Black Lace, has some success, but then Bird with the Crystal Plumage comes out, and the slashery giallo is born, and for 5 years or so, It was all the rage in Italy, and everybody made giallo, because that's what you made.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the movie Zombie, which you just watched an incarnation of, made lots of money in Europe. And so what happens next? But
Bunch of
a
zombie
run
movies.
on Italian zombie movies, each one a little goofier than the last. But Zombie didn't make it on its own. There was a movie in development right around the same time that Dawn of the Dead was being made, directed by the great rival of Argento, Lucio Fulci. And this movie he was directing was originally written for Enzo Castellari, who is one of my favorite action directors. He directed an Italian movie you've never heard of called Inglourious Bastards. And I'm sure nobody ever thought about that movie again.
Yep, nobody.
Never.
Nobody.
Nope.
Not one person.
He also did The Big Racket, which is like one of my favorite movies ever. Not going to make you watch it, but you should, because it has Fabio Testi.
Greatest name ever.
Greatest name for the greatest actor.
Wonder what his wife's name is.
Ooh.
It's like, I don't know.
I don't know that you can chain down a Fabio Testi, man. He might run free, you know what I mean? But anyway. So this movie, developed for Enzo Castellari, handed off to Lucio Fulci, who himself, Fulci, was an excellent giallo director, just as good as Argento, like on the same level. Fantastic director anyway. Gets a hold of this script that involves a different twist on maybe something more based on traditional zombies, maybe a little Night of the Living Dead, maybe based on some leaks from the Argento camp as to what might be coming with Dawn of the Dead, maybe. You could make an argument, but I've never seen evidence to that. Either way, he's bringing a zombie movie to market right after Zombie. Now, you guys know how the Italians were with copyrights in the 70s. George, what did he call his movie that came out right after Zombie?
Night of the Living Dead.
Zombie 2, you're right. Zombie 2.
Without the E.
So, what you have won for next week, George, is a fantastic movie. The movie that brought me into Italian horror, because I'd seen Dawn of the Dead and I'd seen Night of the Living Dead, and I found a movie at Best Buy. All it said on the front cover was zombie with an E. That's all it said. And I thought, this is a movie called Zombie. It's got a zombie on the cover. Sold. How bad could this be, right? Come to find out, in Italy it was known as Zombie with no E 2. Marketed as a sequel to Zombie with no E, the one you just watched, Dawn of the Dead, but without asking for permission to make it Zombie 2.
Okay.
So it's a weird, got a lot of weirdness coming up, man.
Okay.
I don't know if you're ready. I don't know if Travis is ready.
Oh, Travis is going to hate this.
I don't know.
It's got a decent English dub. You can watch it in English. You don't have to watch it with subtitles.
Why? Oh, man.
Oh, I'm excited. It's got a good score.
Travis is going to quit the podcast.
No, he's not. There's
No,
boobs
not.
in this one. He'll like it.
I enjoy doing this. I don't mind. I don't want to agree on everything. I don't.
That's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
it's good.
It hurts me when you don't like something that I like, and I'm sure Dan doesn't give a shit if I don't like something he likes, because he's not like me and he doesn't care what people think. I do.
Yeah.
You don't?
No.
So I think I'm good. If I like something, or if I don't like something and you do, I think we're good.
Yeah.
It makes the world go round.
You're in for a treat next week, Travis.
Okay.
I can't wait.
I do own it. I've never seen it in its entirety, so this will be another version of Travis.
Is there a
hating
musical
something everybody
number in
likes.
this one?
What's that?
Is there a musical number in this one,
I
Dave?
hope
It's
not.
got a good score.
Okay.
It also, I can't tell you.
Do the main characters like bond like they're in like Top Gun in this one?
Could be my wingman. Is there any shirtless volleyball?
Oh, well, there's a lot of shirtless. I don't know if there's a lot of volleyball.
Really?
But anyway, it's the Italians, man.
I
What's
hear you.
up?
Wonderful.
So the other thing, George, I don't know that, as much as I love this movie, I don't know that I could give you like an unbiased chance. Like Dawn of the Dead, you'll like or you won't like, whatever. It's a choice you got to make. But I'm not sure that I could let you not like Zombie 2.
Okay.
So, to make things more fair for you and to make things more fair for Travis, we're going to bring in a little bit of extra help on this one.
Oh.
So, next episode, we'll see the return of one Mr. Troy Howarth.
Stop it.
He's got some things to say.
Okay.
And hopefully he can keep me reined in so I don't just fawn over the movie for an hour and a half.
Because you will do that.
Just don't tell him how I felt about Dawn of the Dead. Because I don't feel like being lectured.
That's what's up, dude.
There you go.
I'm excited to have Troy back.
Yes.
Zombie 2. So, we'll see you all back here for the Spring Outbreak, episode 3. Episode 2, do we count Night of the Living Dead as part of the Outbreak?
I don't know.
It's the dawn of the Outbreak, but it's the Night of the Living Dead. Well, thank you for joining us on the Remedial Film Class Podcast Spring Outbreak. You can join us on Twitter and Instagram at @RemedialFilmPod. You can email us at remedialfilmpod@gmail.com, or you can see us on Facebook at facebook.com/remedialfilmpod or facebook.com/groups/remedialfilmpod, where you can find the extra credit discussion group. And join us next time for Lucio Fulci's Zombie, or Zombie 2, or Zombie Flesh Eaters, or Los Muertos Vivientes, or perhaps Sanguilia. By any name, it's just as fucked up. Hey, George, any idea why it's not Dawn of the Living Dead?
Wait, say that again?
Why is it Dawn of the Dead and not Dawn of the Living Dead?
Ooh.
I
think I know.
Don't tell him.
I'm not going to tell him.
We just need him to be thinking about that. In a world where we are about to watch Zombie Part 2, but not officially, right? Why is Dawn of the Dead not Dawn of the Living Dead? George, what the heck?
Should I know?
In a world.
Probably not, no.
Do you know?
I know, but I'm not going to talk about it.
Because
not yet.
I'm curious, because I have a thought, but I'm sure it's probably wrong.
Well, let's not talk about it until the time comes, and then we'll see how wrong we all are.
All right, sounds good.
Yay. All right, we'll see you guys back here soon for Zombie 2/Zombie, the Fulci one.
The Fulci one.